there, we're going to start the proceedings. On behalf of Jobstown Not Guilty, I'd like to welcome you all here to the Assembly for Justice. My name is Brian Leeson. I'm the Cathaoirleach of Éirigi. I wasn't due to speak today, but the events during the week and the censorship of the courts, I was asked to speak. Some of you know Scott Masterson is a party comrade of mine, and in essence I've been asked to speak and to say the things that perhaps Scott, Paul and the other accused can't say. I also know Paul Murphy going back as far as the Shell to Sea campaign, and myself and himself and Scott were dragged off the road in Mayo on several occasions as we opposed the giveaway of our natural resources down there. So I'd like to welcome the people from Mayo that have come up today to show their solidarity. Before the event gets underway, I'd just like to run through some basic housekeeping. Can everyone please make sure they have their mobile phones switched off or on silent? Please, don't be the one. You're there, it's going to be your turn today. Secondly, can people just note that the fire exits are to left and right, upstairs and downstairs. In the event of an emergency, please remain calm and follow the directions of the event organisers. And finally, if anyone needs to use the toilet or leave the auditorium for any other reason, would you please try and do so quietly. Today's event has been organised by Jobstown Not Guilty as part of a wider campaign to support the Jobstown accused and also to defend the right to protest from attack by the state, the private media and the political establishment. Earlier this week, the state expanded that attack beyond the right to protest to target the right to free speech and the right to politically organise. Using the spurious cover of potential jury tampering, that was the basis of the legal action, the state sought to break the Jobstown Not Guilty campaign in the courts. With the threat of jail hanging in the air, the state demanded that the accused should remain permanently silent about the great injustice that is being inflicted upon them, and that they should become accomplices in a miscarriage of justice that is being inflicted upon themselves, that they would become complicit in the injustice. The state sought to impose a permanent gagging order, banning them from speaking publicly about their case from now until the end of the trial. They failed to achieve that objective. The state sought to impose a ban on political assembly by banning protests in front of the criminal courts. They failed to achieve it. The state sought to split and destroy the Jobstown Not Guilty campaign. They failed. The state sought, and this was very clear during the course of the court proceedings, they sought to stop today's event. They failed. Some people believe that we have basic civil rights in this state. But what good are they if we can't exercise them? What use is the right to free speech if we are not allowed to speak? What use is the right to protest if we are not allowed to protest? What use is the right to politically organise if we are not allowed to do so? These rights only have any value if they can be exercised, if the practice matches the theory. And we must all use them or lose them. That is the choice facing us at this point. Now, before I bring the Jobstown accused onto the stage, I want to ask you, their fellow citizens, a number of questions. As some of you are probably aware, the jury selection criteria is highly questionable. Nobody from Tala or anyone that's involved in the water campaign is allowed to sit on the jury of the Jobstown trials. I have a strong suspicion nobody in this room is therefore likely to be a juror, and I'm unlikely to be interfering with the jury. But before I ask you these questions, I just want to make you aware of the fact that the state, implicit in the legal proceedings last week, was the suggestion that anybody talking about this case was potentially guilty of contempt or guilty of some way of perverting the course of justice. So if you answer these questions, don't hold me account now if a guard comes knocking and a judge drags you in for contempt of court. All right? The louder you answer them, I think, could be taken as an indication you believe in them more firmly. So before I bring the lads on, I just want to ask these questions. A simple yes or no as answer will do. Do you, this assembly of citizens, a peer group of the accused, do you believe that the protest in Jobstown on the 15th of November was a legitimate form of peaceful, lawful protest? Do you believe that Joan Burton was kidnapped in Jobstown? Do you believe that Jobstown accused should have been arrested, charged and faced trial for kidnapping and other offences? Do you believe that the Gardaí, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Judiciary and the wider state are guilty of an abuse of power?
Yes.
Do you believe that the Jobstown case is a miscarriage of justice in the making?
Yes.
Do you believe that the Jobstown accused are innocent of any crime?
Yes.
We are all Jobstown. In just over 3 weeks' time, on April 24th, the 101st anniversary to the day of the 1916 Rising. Think about that. They put people on trial for political protest on the very anniversary of a rising that set out to establish freedom for all. On that date, the first of the adult Jobstown trials will begin. I now want to invite some of the accused onto the stage. They are wearing gags to symbolise the state-imposed censorship that they are subject to for the next 3 hours. I'd like to welcome the first batch of the Jobstown accused. I'll now hand you over to our next speaker, Joe Higgins.
Dear friends, in the almost 100 years of the existence of this Irish state, it is absolutely unprecedented that charges of false imprisonment, which carry a maximum penalty of life in jail, would be preferred against people who participated in protests against government policies involving leading politicians in government. Over the last 50 years of my own personal experience, Taoiseach, that is Prime Ministers, and senior government ministers, such as Jack Lynch, Charles Haughey, and Bertie Ahern, faced protests from workers, from farmers, from students, from community campaigns such as Defend Hospital campaigns, and many others. Their cars may have been temporarily impeded, they were delayed, their movements were curtailed, but never ever was there a charge of false imprisonment advanced. In fact, usually there were no charges. Why then is this happening now? Clearly, the economic establishment, the political establishment, and the legal establishment are incensed at the growing protest movements that they have faced in the last few years, particularly as working class people resisted the ravages of austerity arising from the crisis of their system and from the placing of astronomical and obscene bad gambling debts of bankers and speculators on the shoulders of working people and on society in general. In particular, the political establishment is angered and humiliated that it was forced to abandon its plans for a new water tax, leading to the privatization of water services as a result of magnificent, massive protests the length and breadth of this state. They now want to try, frighten and intimidate ordinary people away from organizing effective protests by dragging representatives of effective protests before the courts and attempting to send them to jail for years. The charges against Jobstown defendants are unprecedented. Unprecedented also are the actions of the state in the last 72 hours, as the opening chair referred to. The Director of Public Prosecutions wrote a few days ago to the first 7 defendants whose trial begins on Monday, April the 24th. The DPP demanded that the defendants attend court on Thursday just gone, and that it would ask the judge to make a court order that, 1, the defendants would, and I quote, not have any involvement whatsoever in any planned protest being organised by Jobstown Not Guilty or any other group which has as its purpose any agitation, campaigning or commentary on the upcoming criminal trial. End quote. The defendants, secondly, and I quote again, are not to have any involvement whatsoever, either directly or indirectly, and including on all media forums, in any group or organisation that is agitating, campaigning or commenting on the upcoming criminal trial, end quote. The DPP was demanding that these stipulations be made part of the bail condition of the 7 defendants, which would mean immediate imprisonment for the defendants if they refused to agree, and that the defendants would remain in jail not only up to the beginning of the trial, but during the entire trial as well. The DPP also proposed that there would be a ban on the defendants or anyone else from organising any protests at the criminal trial, at the criminal court during the trial. These proposals from the Director of Public Prosecutions representing the state are proof that democratic rights such as the right to free speech, the right to assembly and to protest are under really serious attack in this state by the establishment and by the state itself. Never before, to my knowledge, has such a scandalous gagging of free speech been attempted against any campaign group defending itself in court. As well as this, the DPP, as the chair referred, is looking for the judges to impose conditions on jury selection which are blatantly designed to reduce the involvement of working class people in the case. In effect, they want to stack the jury. Their proposal, the chairman indicated, is that nobody who had any view expressed on water charges anywhere, participated in any protest, or any of decent people from Tala would be eligible. That means, in essence, if you're working class, if you have protested, you're not fit for jury service according to the establishment. That issue of jury selection has been adjourned until Monday, April the 24th, and the defendants will be strongly resisting those stipulations. Now, in relation to the first 2 conditions demanded, the defendants said no to both these attacks and showed they were prepared to go to jail rather than accept these proposals. And this assembly, in my view, should express its wholehearted congratulations, solidarity and support for that strong and decisive response. On the sweeping restrictions that the DPP wanted to place on the defendants, their clear and resolute opposition, shown inside and outside the court, forced the DPP to fundamentally climb down and, as a tactical measure, what the defendants accepted was a minimal price, allowing them to stay out of jail at this stage and continue the fight and campaign up until the trial, and crucially, be here today. All the defendants who were in court yesterday have asserted that they would attend and they would participate in today's rally. The only thing they accepted was that if speaking at this rally, and only at this rally, they would not mention the trial or the charges. Scott and Paul will speak today and make many other crucial points. Other activists here today will speak at length on the trial and the charges at this rally, and so there is no issue of Jobstown not guilty ever being silenced. In fact, I am now going to make a few points that directly address the issues regarding the trial and the charges, in the full knowledge of the points that both Scott and Paul would have made today. Before I do, I wanted to make it clear, again, that as soon as this rally is finished, so too ends the undertaking given by the Six, and they will immediately once again deal with all aspects of the trial and step up the campaign of information and bring it to every corner of Dublin, in fact every corner of this country and even further afield. I would now summarize the situation in which we are as follows. In 2014, Joan Burton was the leader of a party that had lied blatantly to the people of this state, swearing in the 2011 general election that it would resist Fine Gael austerity and in particular water charges. They then implemented austerity and in particular implemented water charges. The community of Jobstown was absolutely justified in being outraged by this duplicity, and that a politician who was now tarnished, that is the Deputy Prime Minister of this country, as a result of that duplicity, would have the audacity to posture at an event in the heart of their community. Hundreds of people from the community spontaneously gathered to protest. That was their absolute right. The heavy-handed actions of the Garda in manhandling protesters who were objecting to their community being used as a staging post for a political stunt sharply exacerbated the situation. Sections of the capitalist media then turned the true story on its head, and with lying photographs and biased reportage attempted to vilify and denigrate the community of Jobstown. In fact, the people who protested were demonstrating the highest integrity in refusing to allow their community to be used as a staging post for political betrayal and lies, and we commend them for that. So, according, dear friends, that is the context for the trial beginning on April the 24th. The draconian charges of false imprisonment are designed to criminalize effective protests in the state and to frighten ordinary people from exercising their right to protest and oppose unjust policies. These charges, even at this late hour, should be dropped immediately. I call on all those in this country who have public positions and a public platform in any field, political, culture and the arts, community and social, to publicly demand the dropping of the charges. And I commend those public figures who are here today and will speak to defend the right to protest. In the event of the state persisting, the attack from the establishment and the state will be resisted head-on.